Hey, good afternoon, YouTube. Thought I'd do a ride update from the middle of the trail. So this is my usual break spot when I come up here. And then this is the main trail junction. This goes off into Upper Stevens Creek County Park there. And then here is the Stevens Canyon Trail that's in the Mid-Peninsula open space. So this is called Montebello open space. Finally able to come back up here. So this trail here has been closed since late March, early April. Well, it was open for hiking, but closed for bikes and horses. That trail was open for all trail users. And what's the difference between those two trails? This one was open. That one was closed. This one was managed by the county parks. They closed their parking lots but left the trails open. This one was managed by the Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. They closed parking lots and closed the trails to all but hiking. There's no way to get to this trail without either driving or riding a bike. The only way to park is you got to park illegally on the side of the road and risk a several $100 parking ticket. Or you could ride your bike and then risk having your bike stolen at the trailhead. Yet this trail was perfectly open and legal. It's just you couldn't get to it. To get to this trail, you've got to come up here. But this right here was closed, so it doesn't make any sense. So this is very wide here. I mean, easy to pass. This is a single track trail, much more difficult to pass, but who knows what's going on. But anyway, let's go take a look at the bike. As far as the ride report, really liking that 1145 Cassette. So when I'm in the big ring up front, I'll usually ride from the 24 out to 11, maybe 28 to 11. It just flows. As you shift up or down through those gears, it just feels right. So I rode the Sunrace Cassette for 4 years. So I kept expecting this, I would get used to that big jump, but I just never did. This Cassette, the first time I took it out last weekend, it just felt right. And if you look at it from the 24 to the 15, those are the two similar gears on both cassettes. So you've got a 9-tooth change with 3 shifts. So the Sunrace was 3-tooth shifts 3 times. So you went from 24, 21, 18, 15. So that sounds like a nice series of shifts. The Garbaruk, it does a 4, 3, 2 on the jumps. Almost sounds worse, but if you look at it, the percentage jumps are getting smaller as you go to higher gears, but with the fixed 3-tooth jump, the percentage is actually increasing with each gear shift. The 24 to 20-tooth shift on this cassette, percentage-wise, is the same as the 18 to 15 shift on the Sunrace, but it's higher on the cassette. And you've got more mechanical advantage when you're on the bigger cogs. So it's easier to make up that big jump between 24 and 20. It maybe takes just a couple of crank revolutions and you're back up to cadence, where when you go from the 18 to the 15, you might have to push hard on the pedals for 30 seconds or a minute to get back your cadence. I think this works pretty nice, and then the big cogs are pretty nice. I think I might need to adjust my limit screw a little bit. I've got a little bit of popping in the gear, so I think I've got to do some fine tuning on the bike stand when I get home. It worked fine on the pavement last weekend, but in the dirt, where you've got a little steeper hills and kind of a more on and off the pedals, I need to fine tune that a little bit, but I was kind of wanted to do a few rides and just see, is it the new chain, the new cassette, or is it something that really needs adjusting? But I figure I'll do that on the bike stand. I think it's easier to do when you're up at eye level. This is the next weekend, so I made a few little adjustments to the rear derailleur there. So one thing I did is I turned the B tension screw in maybe 3/4 of a turn more, and got just a little bit of gap there between the jockey wheel and the big cog. So one thing I noticed was when I did that, I could see the chain go between the jockey wheel and the big cog. Maybe every 10th link, it would pop just a little bit, just kind of click, and you could see the chain just jerk a little bit. And what I noticed was the chain was pushed into the cog just barely, so there was no gap on this side, and if you looked from the other side, there was just a hairline gap. So I turned in the limit screw just a bit so that the teeth on the cog were centered in the chain links. And then the other thing I did was I got up on my barrel adjuster here, and I think I tightened it maybe one click on the barrel adjuster. As I mentioned, this is a rapid rise. Spring tension pushes the derailleur into the large cog, and then cable tension pulls it this way. So by tightening the barrel adjuster like one click, I pulled the cable and pulled the rear derailleur just a bit out. Just minor adjustments, and I think that fixed it. I didn't hear any clicking or popping today. I noticed the same thing on the Sunrace cassette, but it was much more infrequent. It was maybe every couple of rides you would hear it click and pop a little. So I think I had the same issue there. Just because it was a 42 tooth, it wasn't as bad. I set all this up when I had the 1136 Shimano cassette. And then when I put the Sunrace on, I added the road link, but I really didn't touch anything below there. I backed the B tension screw back out and just left it there with the Sunrace. And then when I put on the Garbaruk cassette, I just turned this in a little bit and then left it. There's probably just a slight difference when you go to from 36 to 42 to 45 teeth. You have to do a little bit more adjusting. Now I'm working my way back up this steep hill here. Since I really haven't been up here in over 2 months, I'm having to relearn the line. The line you have to follow up changes over time. So the line that worked last winter isn't working now. So you have to find a new way through because the gravel's moved around and rocks have popped up here and holes have popped up there. So I'm having to relearn the line. I got up farther this time. You also have to work on your low speed balance and then your endurance to be able to ride up that hill, because this hill is really challenging because it starts out not too steep and then it gets a little steeper and then it comes around a turn, all the time getting a little steeper, and then the very last bit right around the corner here is really steep. And then in the middle, there's all this maneuvering you have to do. The rear tire will slip on rocks and spin in the gravel, and it'll probably take me another few weeks to figure out how to get up here efficiently and make it all the way up. That'll be the goal for this year, is to try to make it up that hill in the summer. I can make it up when it's wet because the trail packs down and gets much firmer. But trying to come up in the late spring and summer when it's loose, that's the real challenge with skinny tires. These are not big knobby mountain bike tires. They're touring tires. So traction is definitely a challenge. But having that really low gear helps because you can sit down, you can keep your weight on the saddle, you can keep forward so you don't lift the front end and keep all your weight on the tires, and then you can just work on pedaling and picking your way up the hill. And then, yeah, just an update, the multi-release cleats are working really well. If you have multi-release cleats on one set of shoes, you need them on the other set. You can't really switch back and forth. So yeah, I definitely like these multi-release because you can release inside, outside. The reason I like to release outside is your natural reaction is if you're on the bike, so you start to fall this direction, your natural reaction is to put your foot out and stop yourself. But with the standard release cleats, you've got to twist in to release and then step out. Maybe if you do that all the time, but I'm just used to like twisting out and stepping out. You know, it's all in one direction. I did flip these pins, I've lowered the pins here on this side, and then I also turned them upside down. They still stick up, but the smooth side is up. So hopefully those won't catch my leg as bad. I figured I might as well leave them in the hole. So yeah, definitely happy with the setup. So I got my cleats working. I got the new cassette working. Oh yeah, and then let's see. This week I got, what do I have here? High brew coffees, Mexican vanilla. I'm going to have my little refreshment here and figure out what to do. And then at some point I got to turn around and head back down the hill. So hopefully you enjoyed that video update. Everything working well with the new cassette and the new multi-release cleats on the new shoes. So I think we're good to go. Yeah, if you have any other questions, post up in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.